And then back in 2017, little old Taos Weisgood walked into a climbing gym called The Wall in Russellville. And little did he know that that was the beginning of change for everything. You are listening to episode 1 of the Level Up podcast hosted by Taos Weisgood in Russellville, Arkansas. But before we get into any of that, I just want to quickly introduce myself and what this podcast, the Level Up podcast, is going to be about. I am a Russellville native that for many years now was planning on leaving Russellville, even leaving the state of Arkansas and moving out west. But now I do not intend to do that. My plans are to stay in Russellville and build more business for myself and my family and help improve and explore the community. Some aspects of that would include more walkability, more local business thriving, more community interaction. I think the community in general, if we look at our nation, our state, our city, it's very, very polarized, very split into different camps. And while I don't think polarization is necessarily a bad thing, it's unfortunate when it causes people to build these massive walls and view the other people as their enemy. I mean, I would even go out to bet you hold the belief right now that if I didn't agree with you on it, you may think about me differently. Regardless of what side of any issue you're on, I think that probably holds true for most of us, myself included. And it takes conscious effort, disagree with someone respectably. It's not something that a lot of people are willing to do, and not something that we've really even been taught to do if you look at the public education system. But these are things I think we can improve upon as a community. My intuition tells me that the way to make this happen is just to get into the community, start building things, meet great people, promote those people, change it with kindness, change it with a vision, with momentum. In my life, entropy has been my main enemy. Looking back at it, the act of not moving, of becoming motionless. For so long, I did nothing with my life. I always thought I can't do that for whatever reason, whether it was a physical challenge or a mental challenge. I never really believed in myself. And then back in 2017, little old Taos Weisgood walked into a climbing gym called The Wall in Russellville. And little did he know that that was the beginning of change for everything. The beginning of him realizing that no, he can do it. He can overcome, at first, these very superficial things or physical things, right? Like the fear of heights, or I can climb that harder route that I'd been struggling with before. But then, more recently, it's translated into more mental things, which honestly is like the biggest blocker of everyone in the world, that the mental side. Life is such a mental game, I've started to realize. Through this change in my life, I went from somebody that was paralyzed by fear in many aspects. Now I can do some things, and I'm learning, and I'm improving myself, and I'm seeing those benefits, staying accountable and disciplined. And the reward is just massive, let me tell you. It's a completely different way of living. For the past 2 years now, I've been running a business with a new family. My son is almost 3 years old, so started the business 1 year into his life almost, and it has been failure after failure after failure. I've spent many months not making any money, and then some months making more than I had ever made in my life, and all from working straight from the computer, working online, doing social media marketing, content design, paid advertising, those sorts of things for companies, honestly, all over the globe. I've had the privilege of working with probably a couple of dozen, if not a little bit more than that. But then I've also had the painful learning experiences of failing on many of those projects, evidenced by the amount of clients I'm working with now is nowhere near 24, not at all. That's been a big teacher as well, learning that failure is actually a good thing. Without failure, you're never going to get anywhere. And I'm going to fail some more. I know that. Been a really interesting progression for me, and still trying to remain open-minded that I'm wrong about pretty much every position I hold. It's a struggle, though, to be honest, sometimes. Just to give you, again, a bit more of a brief history, going from making, a lot of money for me every month to not making anything after that. I got burnt out. Maybe we'll go into more details another day. We got burnt out, all of a sudden no income. and I'm still learning how to manage money as a family. We're still making mistakes and figuring out how to navigate that world. We're becoming a lot more educated. It's not something you're really taught in schools. You're not taught how to, or maybe I just didn't pay attention, maybe it's a combination of both. Because again, if you look back at my life up until 2017, I was paralyzed. I was so addicted to video games, which by the way, I love video games, but I was personally addicted to them. I used it as a coping mechanism. I used it as a way to not do things and apply myself. Straight A student, but I gamed the system, right? I did the bare minimum effort and just coasted by. That didn't give me any valuable lessons in life, right? It got me a full ride to Arkansas Tech University and even somewhat excelling in most of those classes. It did not teach me discipline. And I believe discipline is freedom. So I've kind of been all over the place in this podcast episode so far, but it's an important part of the story and what Level Up podcast is going to be about. It's going to be about the local area of Russellville. It's going to be about, sort of my learnings as I report them back to you and hopefully learn some things through that process, because I definitely don't have the blueprint to success of life. I don't think anybody does. But we can definitely learn from each other's failures 100%. So that's the goal. I'm going to share with you all my failures in life and business, and even put a lens, look through the lens of someone going down this path at the local community as well. Because I think that the environment we live in does so much to our state of being, so much to our opportunities we're presented with, our mindset, the people we meet, the families we build, and the lives that we get to live. So we have to pay attention to it. To wrap up this brief first episode of the podcast, my hopes for the future of Russellville with myself, I just hope that people, again, break down those barriers a little bit and understand that everyone in their community is a person. And more local business comes in and thrives, built around community, built around improving people's lives everywhere. That's my hope. It's pretty vague, but as I learn more about the area, to be honest, it's kind of been I've been very negligent in that area. I don't know many other entrepreneurs. I don't know very many other people. For the past 2.5 years, I've been working remotely from my house. I barely interacted with anyone else besides some old friends and my family. So now I'm at a point where it's time to change that and meet new people. So anyways, earlier, I was down at Retro Roast, got to sit down. I think I'm going to start working from there a bit more. And anyways, when I was in Dog Ear Books next door, I met this girl named Kayla who works at the Brainstorm Agency. So that's interesting. Shout out to them. Their studio looks awesome, by the way. Super happy for them to be able to work in an environment like that. And that's just what I want to cultivate more of in my life is the opportunity to work physically with great people, creative people, and people that are on the same path. All right, with that being said, we're going to wrap up episode 1 of the Level Up podcast. You can follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. Thank you for listening, and we'll come at you soon with more.